Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Sherrone Moore, this Michigan program, not only hosting a ton of top targets over the next couple of days, also trending for some of those top targets in this 2025 class. Want to dive into some of my favorite names that Michigan is really gunning hard for in this 2025 class. And I think the best way to start this conversation is us Michigan fans are hearing a lot of outside noise about Michigan not really getting it going on the recruiting trail, or at least a slow start building this 2025 class out. And I think a lot of Michigan fans are sitting there and saying, well, that kind of makes sense, right? Sherrone Moore had to hire almost a completely new coaching staff, a completely new recruiting department. And I think things are just starting to get settled in for this Michigan program. And as you see the dust settle, I think you see Sherrone Moore in this coaching staff really start to dig in to build this 2025 class out. We've talked about Sherrone Moore. His coaching hires were very predicated on helping Michigan get it done on the recruiting trail. With all the buzz around this program, I think a lot of Michigan fans are expecting a very exciting 2025 class. Really excited to get into some of my favorite names. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and a massive shout out to the Michigan fans. Many of y'all know I'm a massive Michigan fan. Love talking this program, whether we're talking coaching hires, the recruiting trail, talking about spring practice, and the amount of support the Michigan fans have shown the boys truly does mean a lot. There's not a program I love talking about more. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start at the wide receiver position, a position that a lot of Michigan fans want to see more playmakers injected into this Michigan offense on the boundary. Taz Williams Jr. from the state of Texas is one of those guys that I think has been identified as a top target for Michigan at that wide receiver position. And you dive into the film of Taz Williams, my favorite attribute that he brings is he's one of the more complete wide receivers that you see in this 2025 class. 5'11", 181 pounds. You see him win in so many different ways, right? This is a guy that runs really, really clean routes, can create separation with ease. But I think the most exciting attribute that he has is what he does vertically down the field. Only 5'11", 181. You turn on the film. This is a guy that not only plays much bigger than his size, he is extremely good at tracking the football down the field and really having that body control to go make those contested catches down the field. And you look at this Michigan offense, if there's one thing that us Michigan fans have really been banging the table for is wide receivers that can win down the field, right? It's no secret that Michigan wants to run the football, establish the run. The most dangerous element of Michigan's passing attack should be what they can do down the field, right? When you're running the football down the throat of a lot of opposing teams, they got to start putting safeties in the box, and that is when you want to have guys that can attack down the field. Taz Williams, a guy that creates separation, really good after the catch, and can stretch the field vertically. Really, really like Taz Williams. It sounds like Michigan is kind of trending for him on the recruiting trail. Visiting Michigan this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe get a commitment out of the weekend. We'll break it down if it happens. Now, another wide receiver that kind of fits a very similar mode, but probably is just better and has a better athletic profile at stretching the field is Quincy Porter from New Jersey. This is a guy that probably not as twitched up and as much of a separator as Taz Williams, but this is a guy that at 6'3", 190 has some serious vertical speed when he's going in a straight line. You talk about Michigan wanting to establish a presence, attacking the deeper third. Not only do we need quarterbacks that can attack down the field, you need wide receivers that can go down the field and make plays. And if there's kind of one knock on this Michigan program is that you didn't really have many playmakers at that wide receiver position. The passing attack mostly goes through those tight ends and slot wide receivers over the middle of the field. When you run the game, when you run the ball like Michigan does, you got to have wide receivers on the boundary that can go make plays for quarterbacks down the field. Quincy Porter at 6'3", almost 200 pounds, very good vertical speed. Obviously, the frame to go make plays down the field is one of those field-stretching wide receivers that I really think Michigan is just so desperately missing on the offensive side of the football. Taz Williams, a little bit more of that complete wide receiver. Quincy Porter, probably one of Michigan's favorite targets in terms of a field stretching wide receiver that gives you that big physical frame on the outside. Last wide receiver I want to talk about is from Louisiana, and that's Jacob Washington. Jacob Washington, very similar to Quincy Porter. You look at the frame, 6'3", 180 pounds, has offers from a plethora of SEC schools. And I think the exciting attribute that Jacob Washington brings to Michigan's offense is very similar to Quincy Porter. This is a guy that runs an 11.5 in the 100-meter dash, can win vertically down the field. You're looking at Michigan really identify these wide receivers that can win down the field and kind of stretch defenses, force defenses to respect what Michigan can do, attacking the deeper third. And we've been saying this all along. We think this really could unlock Michigan's offense, not only in the passing attack, but if you consistently have wide receivers that can win vertically, defenses are going to have to respect that. And you're not going to see the loaded boxes that Michigan has seen the last couple of years. That's going to help the run game as well. If we can continue to get these playmaking wide receivers, guys that can win down the field into this Michigan offense, that's going to open up this Michigan offense in a meaningful way over the next couple of years. Last player I want to talk about, and probably my favorite prospect that we're going to talk about today, is four-star cornerback Dwayne Galloway from Columbus, Ohio. This is a guy that does not report an offer from Ohio State, one of the best players in the state of Ohio. That seems to be a ripe spot for Michigan to go grab a kid from Ohio that probably doesn't like Ohio State very much, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, bring him up to Ann Arbor. Dwayne Galloway at that cornerback position, I think checks just about every single box that you want to see checked for Michigan at that cornerback spot. For many of you guys who've listened to me talk about high school prospects, there's a couple things that I like to look for at that cornerback position. One is the length. At 6'1", 175, you turn on the film, you see the length that he has, his ability to put hands on wide receivers. The second is the long speed. Do you have the ability to track wide receivers down the field? This is a guy that runs a 10.59 in the 100-meter dash, one of the fastest cornerbacks in this 2025 class. And the last kind of attribute you're looking for is the ball skills. All right, if you're going to be in the hip pocket of a wide receiver, that football's in the air. Do you have the ability to go up and make plays over wide receivers? Dwayne Galloway is a guy that plays wide receiver as well at the high school level. So he has those ball skills. He knows what to do when that football is in the air. The most frustrating part about some cornerbacks is they're twitched up athletes. They can be in position. They can mirror wide receivers. They can match up athletically for any wide receiver in the country. But when that football is in the air, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to play the football. Dwayne Galloway, 5 interceptions as a junior, certainly has those desired ball skills that you want from Michigan as well. Trending to Michigan, we'll see how that one plays out. But you're starting to see over the next couple of weeks, I think Michigan really dig in to this 2025 class. And again, not a ton of commitments in the 2025 class already. That makes sense for Michigan fans, right? We just finalized hiring our coaching staff. We just finalized hiring our recruiting department and our personnel department. So it makes sense that Michigan hasn't necessarily gotten a head start building this 2025 class out. But if you remember last year's cycle, the months of April and May, that's kind of when Michigan starts to really turn it up on the recruiting trail. I'm expecting the same thing, but maybe even a little bit more, because Sherrone Moore's emphasis has been on the recruiting trail. He wants to kind of have Michigan recruit like we expect a defending national champion to recruit, where if there was one flaw you had in Jim Harbaugh's era, it didn't necessarily seem like Michigan was getting it done on the recruiting trail to the capability that we could, right? Back to back Big Ten champs, 3 straight college football playoff appearances, now defending national champions. There's no reason in my mind that Michigan shouldn't be recruiting at a top 10, top 5 level in the country. I think Sherrone Moore feels the exact same way, and you're going to see a strong emphasis in the talent acquisition department. Really excited for the next couple of weeks. These are some of the names that I'm personally keeping my eyes on. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.